Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Under the Tree. I'm Mr. Palmer. We have Mr. Glenn Bynum and T.Smallz.
What's up, family?
What's happening? What's happening?
How y'all doing today?
Man, blessed, man. Blessed.
Hey, man, we blessed, man. We are blessed.
How was the traffic out there?
It's alright. It wasn't too bad. You know what I'm saying? Sunday traffic. A little typical. It's alright.
Alright.
How y'all feeling about this quarantine? I know y'all ready to let loose.
Oh yeah, man. I'm ready for a good long ride. I'm ready to stretch my girl out and get on a back road somewhere and lose myself.
So you ready to get on that Harley?
Oh yes, sir.
How about you? You ready to put that sunroof back?
Sunroof back, top back. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Hey, whatever, man. I'm ready to get back to the regular summertime. You know what I'm saying?
Got a good question. Do y'all think it's going to happen?
I think it is, but it's gonna be a slow process, man. Like, we're gonna kind of ease into this thing. You know how summertime come, man, we on 100, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now it's gonna be like, all right, we're gonna ease into this thing and make sure everybody all right, and then I say by around mid-July, we probably be full blown.
Right.
What you think?
I think it's going to be a slow process. Hopefully the government's taking its time and not trying to overly rush everybody back to a situation that could be worse. But as T said, probably about the middle of the summer we can see, you know, the effects of how this thing has really affected all of us, and we'll be able to pull out from there.
Well, on the news they said that it's going to be 2 years because they haven't found a what do you call it?
Cure for vaccination?
A vaccine.
Well, they were saying something about they had like a suppressant for it. It's not a cure, but it kind of holds back a lot of the symptoms from, you know, being full blown. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a low comfort type zone type deal. But they say it's not a vaccine, so we have yet to see what that is going to be all about. You know what I mean?
You know, I think the 2 years are more geared toward the economic recovery than it is going to be people recovery. You know, we're all going to be dealing with this for the rest of our lives. Every one of us been affected by it, so that's always going to be a factor. But I think more of that 2 years is going to be the economic, people getting back to business as usual, than more so than life as usual.
I tell you what, they're making some vaccines. I call this the test people, the test folks. Are you willing to get tested as a guinea pig to see what it's going to do?
Man, I don't know about all that, man. Look, man, I had looked at a little diagram on actually how they go about testing and everything, and how they stick the swab in your nose. They go pretty deep in your nostrils, man, like way deep. And you gotta think, man, that's kind of very uncomfortable to stick that far in your nostrils just to test for something. But on the second hand, you be like, okay, well, if we going this deep, I mean, as far as people staying 6 foot, man, I mean, is that even relevant if you got to go that far in your nostrils to even test for a coronavirus? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, though, you're talking about 6 feet rule. That 6 feet rule, this virus is already proven. It'll live beyond 6 feet after it's been exposed into the air.
Right.
But you think about the expulsion of a sneeze. Some sneezes come in excess of over 2,000 miles per hour.
Right.
A sneeze coming over 2,000 miles per hour is going to spread more than 6 feet. So, you know, but I do understand the precautions. Let's give them a number, something to get regulated to and feel comfortable with. So I understand why the CDC is doing what they're doing, saying what they're saying, because they want to give us some kind of directive. And I think we should be wise to the best of our ability, conform to it.
I tell you what, on the news, did you see exactly how long that Q-tip swab was? Did you see it?
It's almost 18 inches long.
I don't know if they're hitting some brains.
Yeah, definitely hitting some brain.
We're going to get into this thing now about mental health a little bit. Dak Prescott's brother committed suicide, and about a week?
Yeah, the 24th.
The 24th. I think it was his older brother.
Yeah.
He was about,
31.
31 years old. And about, 2 weeks ago we was there? 3 weeks?
Yeah, about 3 weeks we were talking about the dangers of suicide and things, what people should be looking for. Not only him, but, you know, there was a ER doctor, Dr. Lorna Breen, that was in New York. She was treating patients, and she contracted COVID herself. And even after recovering, coming back with the lack of ability to keep up with her colleagues, you know, she committed suicide because she seem to have lost her self-worth. So there's a lot that, you know, that's being left out there that we really need to just go and explore and talk to people about. So, you know, it is something that's very serious. Doing some research, I saw that the rise in suicide calls to the suicide prevention hotline is up 32%. That's a lot due to the population that we have. So, you know, it is very serious, and people are dealing with some very serious issues out here.
That really threw me off guard when this brother, you know, committed suicide like that. You know.
Well, I mean, I've been not directly involved, but I know about the suicide thing, man. It hit close to home many years ago. You know, I really I knew this individual, and you know, I felt like I tried everything I knew that I knew at the time, and I was much younger back then, to kind of deter him to do what he did. But ultimately, he made that final decision to ultimately take his life or whatever. And it touched close to home, but at the same time, it's like why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't understand what would drive a person to want to take their own life, especially the guy I knew personally, you know what I'm saying? And it was just kind of weird, man. And, you know, the after effects as far as me and his family, the way it affected me is because, man, I talked to this guy right before this happened. Like, you know what I mean? And literally the next morning, it's like, just like that, he gone. And I'm like, man. And you start asking yourself questions, man. Could I have done more? Could I have did something different? Could I have said something? Could I have went there? You know what I'm saying? Instead of just talking on the phone, maybe I should have hopped in the car and said, hey, look, man, let me drive over there and see what's going on with you. You know what I mean? But in that retrospect, man, is you never know what's on a person's mind, man, and you never know what a person's going through, and you know what I'm saying, as far as in their personal life. I've always been told, man, treat a person like how you want to be treated, because you don't know what type of background that guy, girl, individual, whoever come from. They might start it off like crap, you know, and because you said something that's motivating to them, and that might change their whole day and their whole mindset from doing something that they had on their mind before they got in contact with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, we talked about it last segment. You know, we talked about deception of a smile, where people walk around with a smile on their face, you know, saying, you know, everything is all right, smiling at you at the same time, they're falling apart. And, you know, it's not even just regulated to just brothers. I mean, there's so many factors that come into people losing their self-worth. It could be a lost relationship, job. There's so many factors that come into people wanting to commit suicide. And the thing that you did, you know, you said, you know, I reached out to my friend. I tried to encourage him. I tried to give him something else to focus on. And most people, when you reach out that way, respond. Some of them just have this feeling of despair, and you can't reach. But what is important is that we don't never stop trying to reach somebody. And so, you know, that's what's important about it.
I have a question for you. When the individual committed suicide, how did it affect you?
Well, the next morning, man, you know, I kind of, to be honest, kind of joked on it, because it was my way of dealing with, dang, this guy really did what he did. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, man, you know, I can't do nothing to help him at this point, because it was like, it's like, hey, man, what can I do? You know what I mean? But as the day went on, I was like, man, I can't believe he really did that. Like, you know, it's all day it played back in my head, because, you know, I had talked to this individual. And after the fact, now I can't, you know, I'm looking at your phone number. I can't even call you to say, hey, man, what's going on? You all right? You good? It just affected me in that way, man, that it lets you know that life is ever so precious, man. That every day, man, you don't take it for granted, man. You don't know what day is your day. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what day is your day. But you got to pray that when you get up in the morning, you say, you know what? Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning, man. I want to have a prosperous day. Let my day go as it started. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And that's how it affected me. It was kind of like a little numb to me in a certain aspect, but it was a little personal you know, a little feelings, it touched me a little bit because I personally knew this individual.
Yeah, and you know, and that's something that's relevant. You know, when people commit suicide, even after you've done all you could do, you know, a lot of them feel like everything and everybody would be better off if I wasn't here. And they really don't think about the ramifications that is left with the people that love you after you're gone. And, you know, and maybe they need to know that you love them enough that you're going to suffer when they're gone. But, you know, like T was just saying, you know, it's not anything you can do other than to mourn, because you can't pick up the phone and check and see if they're all right. They're gone.
Right.
But, you know, what you can do is you can take that experience, and when you see somebody in a similar situation, you know, let them know that this what you're going through is just temporary. You know, I posted something on Facebook the other day on the page talking about, you know, where 1 Corinthians we were talking about that, you know, what we're going through right now is not going to be what we're going to end up being. And that's so relevant that, you know, we understand that this is just temporary. These are light afflictions. God has provided a way of escape that is so glorious that we can just walk on that. Does it stop you from having bad days? No. Does it stop you from feeling low and that you don't matter? No. It's so many factors that, you know, we have to go through. But as T just said, we got to trust the one that made us, put us here.
Right.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Bynum. Do you think that, I'm not picking on any particular age group, but parents can do a better job with communicating with their kids, children, sons, daughters in general, to actually see what's on their mind? Because when a lot of kids get grown, you know, their parents kind of leave them alone to be adults at an early age. You know, in my era, it's like once you turn 18, you're pretty much on your own, in general. And then after that, that's it, you know. And do you feel that has something to do with some of the maturity level of mental state of young individuals, 18, and that next thing you know, they're on their own, they have nobody to talk to?
You know what, one thing we could say about parenting, you know, parents do the best they can with what they have. And all you can do is trust that you've raised your children to be the best that they could possibly be. However, these kids today are inundated with so much information and wrong information that it definitely affects their mental health. They have so much more to process than we did. They become more adults faster than we did. We see the development of, you know, bodies and hormones raging. And, you know, and then you get into those situations where they get into relationships that are not prosperous for them, and in the long run end up being detrimental. You know, they said it in The Color Purple that a girl child is not safe in a house full of men child. But right now, no child is safe. You know, you gotta pay attention to what's going on with your children, because if you're not watching, somebody is on a website somewhere trying to get their attention and draw them into a life that they may not be able to get out of. And you know, and it leads to one of the things that leads to suicide, PTSD. You know, a person will relive this thing over and over in their mind without any way to process it out. You know, I always tell parents, if your child has asked you any questions concerning suicide, take that seriously. Take it very seriously.
You can't take that for granted, man. You know, I have children, have 4 of them, and I always ask my children and talk to them all the time, man. Hey, you all right? What's going on? How you feel? This, that, and the other. Come on, get on. Let's get out. Let's do something. Let's do this. Being that we in a current quarantine or whatever, man, I always, you know, try to keep my kids uplifted, because I know they can't really go out and do as they would normally do in the world and the things of that nature. So I always try to say, hey man, y'all okay? You good? What's wrong? Talk to me. You know what I mean? And they always talk to me, well, Daddy, man, I miss my friends. I miss going to school. I miss this. I miss going ride my bicycle or whatever. And you know, and I'd be like, well, you can ride your bicycle, but just, you know, you can ride probably right now a little neighborhood, a little area or whatever. And my daughter would be like, no, Daddy, I ain't going out there. I don't trust it out there. I'm not going out there. All right, honey. If that's how you feel, I respect that. But you also have to keep your children involved and ask them what's going on with them. That's very important.
You know, and to piggyback off that, you know, everybody's life right now with this pandemic has been disrupted. And, you know, as adults, we know we feel the weight of our own pressures. You know, a lot of us don't know if we're coming back to jobs because companies are shutting down. And so the change in that status, the change in economic status, that's gonna breed some discontentment in the house between husband and wife. Because you don't know how bills are gonna get paid. How am I gonna feed my family? You know, there's a man that put his head on a pillow last night and his stressing out because he don't know where food's going to come from today.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing that we are supposed to be our brothers and sisters keepers. If you know somebody going through, it ain't to ask the question of what they're going through. Hey man, do you need anything? Open up, you know, communications in the community. You know, one thing, a good thing I can say this pandemic has done, it has exposed that we have been so separated from each other that the truth is we need to come together, and if we come together as a community, black, white, blue, green, and yellow, everybody's situation will change.
Right.
That's true. Right. I'm gonna share a real deep story with both of y'all. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Let's do it.
I got contacted this week. Young lady. She used to live in Jacksonville once upon a time. I think this happened about, I'm gonna say 10 years ago. Her husband passed away. And it's a good friend of mine. I think I've been knowing her about 20 years. But I never knew when her husband passed away that she felt some type of way, that she had nothing to live for herself. That was her thoughts. So she moved to Ohio to get away for about 10 months, which I did not know that she was going through something, you know, at that time. And she had to, you know, go there to get away. So she came back to Jacksonville. So I'll say maybe 11 years later, she started dating a young individual, and they were, you know, going out having a good time. And she said that they were going to bed, her and her boyfriend. You know, he just wanted to lay there, watch a little TV, no cuddling or anything. And she said the next day he went to the beach and he blowed himself away. Yeah, and she had no idea, you know, that he was going to do, you know, something along those lines. So can you piggyback on people that you just never know what they're going through?
It's like I said earlier, you know, you don't know what a person has. You know, we hide that thing behind smiles or behind personas that everything is all right. And in actuality of it, it's not. You know, you don't know. Like T said, you got to ask questions. And you got to ask questions in a way that's not so probing, the way you're pushing a person for an answer that causes them to withdraw even more. You know, always encourage them, let them know that you're going to be there. But on the fact that you don't know really what a person is going through unless they tell you. You see signs. We all see signs, but we can't act on the signs we see because we feel it's going to be evasive. And if it's invasive, the person might withdraw. But what we have to do and what we have to be cognizant of is that, you know, being invasive sometimes can save somebody's life. Now, in her respect, she had no idea he was going through anything. And to go do what he did, you know, I'm sure that it affected her in a manner that she would be hard for her to come back from. You know, a lot of people that commit suicide have determined their self-worth. And when they've determined their self-worth to be is not worth living. And we have to encourage them that it's more to live for than their present circumstances. And when a person feels worthless, it makes it easier to really, you know, resonate within yourself that I would be better off dead, that everybody would be better off without me, and they'll go on and commit this act. I want to tell every one of you, you're valuable not only to this world, but to the people that are around you. Because the fact is, if you do what you have put in your mind to do, how does it affect those that you leave behind? Your children, your loved ones, the person that told you just 5 minutes ago that they loved you and meant it. You know, your co-workers, everybody feels the brunt of it. Will life go on? Probably so, but it will always be an empty spot that you used to hold.
Right.
Could you read that comment right there from Miss Sonia?
All right. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up real quick. She made a comment about it.
Amen.
You can see it.
Let me see what she said.
Yeah. And she said, unified people is still what we need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sister Sonia said unified people is still what we need, and she's right. You know, there is strength in numbers. You know, we think that everything is supposed to be carried by yourself. You know, and even the Bible says, where 2 or 3 are gathered, there shall I be in the midst. It's not just talking about prayer. It's talking about coming together, discussing things, being a village. God is a village God. He is all-knowing. He put us here. He said that in the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. Right. And in Genesis, he's talking about the creation of Eve and creating a wife. But he also understood that the mental aspect of man is not to be segregated and in solitude. It has to be engaged. It has to be engaged with someone. So we have to have conversations outside of ourselves with people that are outside of ourselves. You know, I heard somebody say this week at work that I feel like I've been in jail. I've been in jail. This ain't jail. But
we
it's
ain't even
hard.
close. We're not even close.
But it's hard, man, because, you know, when you're set aside by yourself and you can't go out and do the thing that you would normally do. I can't call you up and say, hey, man, let's go bend the corner, go get something to eat and hang out and hang out for a little while. Those things are closed off.
Right.
And then now, you know, this change in our normality has really caused a split.
Right. Right.
The same individual was also telling me that when she was about 18, this is a quiet kept secret that a lot of men and women go through, but they're kind of quiet to say. I think she's about 59, and I was very surprised. She mentioned this to me. She told me this was the first time she ever said it, that she was raped at 18.
Wow.
And I was very surprised. She said that a lot of women, some form of fashion, either they've been raped, sexually molested, touched, or what have you. And do you think it's some truth to that?
Absolutely.
With the high number she gave me.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I dare not even try to think of the statistic of women that are living with that secret. You know, I would do the research, you know, and see honestly to give you real accurate numbers. I wouldn't dare to even suggest a number, but I can tell you with a great degree of certainty that there are a lot of women that you see that have so-called happy lives, that have happy marriages, that are in good jobs, they're in good, seemingly good places in their life, that are reliving a sexual assault of some kind.
Right.
And you know, but not only women these days, this is prominent with men lately as it has been with female.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, and as a person that has been sexually assaulted, who do you tell? You know, the hard thing for a woman is they make you the victim into being the perpetrator of the act, which is our society gets so wrong. Because a person that has been violated, you know, rather the circumstances that led up to the violation, it's still a violation.
Right.
And we got to be more sensitive to that person's need, you know, and saying, you know, this is my story. Pay attention to what I'm telling you, because it's some truth to that. Especially if you come back and the person that's been accused has been accused by multiple people.
Right.
You know, so now how can that person be the only victim, and is everybody lying?
Right.
You know, and so people that have been through it, you know, I encourage you, if you've been through a sexual assault, get into a support group. Get into some people who have the similar experiences that you have. Talk to them. Get it out. Right. Put it out there on the surface so you can deal with it. Don't let it stay hidden inside of you. And find you somebody that you can truly talk to, that's going to listen and not pass judgment on you, so you can get this out.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead.
I want to say welcome to all the people who joined our live podcast video. Everybody who is in there commenting right now, we letting you know that we recognizing y'all right now. I just want to interject that, man. Go ahead.
Okay. And you're welcome to ask questions right now. Also.
You also welcome to ask questions if you if you wanted to. You know what I mean? That's up to you.
I'm gonna throw a spin on it. Y'all ready?
Right.
Young boys getting raped / molested by the babysitter. Nobody want to talk about that.
It's been a lot of that going on, man, for a long time. The problem with that, in my opinion, is you have a lot of kids nowadays that's going to tell the parents what's going on. But here's where the conflict come in. The parents are in denial. They're not going to believe that. Say, oh, I don't believe you. What you talking about, man? Hey, go on with that, man. I'm trying to tell you this, that, and the other, so on. So that's something that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's be real for a minute about that. Young boys being molested by female babies.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say it, but the stigma for that is that's a rite of passage for a boy.
Yeah.
But in actuality, it's not. It's like what T said. I mean, that's still a violation. You know, by a person that is supposed to be your caretaker, is actually violating.
Yeah, that's like
most men would pat their sons on the back and say, "Oh, you're a man now." But that's not the way to look at it. The truth of the matter is that, you know, that's a violation. So he's going to carry that experience as how he should treat women.
Yep.
And it's going to become detrimental. And so somebody's daughter is going to have to deal with the brunt of this boy now thinking that sex is something that's violent. And there's no love, no intimacy in it. And a lot of ladies wonder why we don't have the intimacy capabilities, because these things have happened and they've been going on forever. It's not new. It's just been newly reported.
Okay, I'm going to keep spinning this thing. I have another one. Teachers, you see the news. It seems like when a man do it, his sentence is harsher. When a female teacher do it, it's a lot lighter. Piggyback on what you're saying, about, you know, it's like double standards. Depends on if it's a boy getting molested or a female.
Right.
Because it seems like some female teachers, they kind of get a light sentence, if you think about it.
Yeah, because I feel like us as males, man, like, oh, he a male. You know, that's the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? But the same way how a female, how they would handle a situation with a female, is the same way how you should handle a situation with a male. It doesn't matter. But you know, we as males, we always get, oh, he'd be all right. Give him a little therapy. Are you really sure that this happened? You know, why you got to keep questioning me if I'm telling you this is what happened? If it was a female, it wouldn't be no question.
Right.
They would be going full blown on it, like, oh, come on, let's go ahead, do what we got to do, this, that, and the other, so and so the case, or he did that, or whatever, without even getting the full facts about what happened. But with us, it's like, okay, well, we got to keep questioning. Well, you sure this happened? Or you positive or whatever? Look, man, if I'm telling you this is what happened, that's what happened.
Right. And as you said, I mean, you can think that the punishment is worse to males versus females.
Right.
Because of basically we are what they call the stronger sex. You know, for a female, the perception is that the young man was voluntary. For a man, the perception is that the young girl was forced. And it's a rite of passage that they think males should go through. You fantasize about this as a young boy, and it comes true. Now you can brag about this. And all the young boys brag about it. It's the notch on the back. It's telling daddy, oh yeah, I did this. And it makes you feel, because the bravado for the man is so much more. In actuality, the law should look at it on an equal basis. But we all know disparity in law is so across the board when it comes to sentencing for so many different things, that the law does not give equal punishment to males or females, to blacks to whites, to Mexicans, to Chinese, to whomever. When it comes to the law, there's so much gray area written into the law that they can find justification for lighter sentences.
That's right. You're right about that. Miss Sonia had a comment. She stated that.
She said the best thing that could ever happen was her going to therapy.
Yes.
And that's real.
That's real. That's real, nothing.
And
that's
real.
real and real.
Yeah.
At the same time, people don't believe in therapy, man. I personally never had to been in a situation where I had to go to therapy. Thank God for that. But if it's available to you, go ahead and utilize all the resources that you have to actually get yourself back on track, or whatever you have to do, or whoever is willing to help you or come to your aid as far as therapy, man. You know, these people are not just people just asking you to come to therapy just to ask you to come there. No. They're actually asking you to come there because they are professionals in what you are dealing with.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a good thing that you go to therapy. A lot of people shy away from that because, you know, they was like, well, I don't want to tell them everything or whatever. Sometimes you have to tell somebody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? These people are trained to keep everything that you talk about to them confidential. Correct. That's by law. You know what I'm saying? They can't come home and be like, well, honey, I talked to this person and this had this, that, and the other, and so and so the case. No, it doesn't go like that. That would be in violation of their practice, of their profession, by law. Correct. So I really do, you know, shouts out to Miss Sonia, you know, going to therapy and everything, man. That was the right thing to do. Maybe everybody else will be encouraged into going into therapy by her just saying that. You know what I'm saying? You know what,
too, and it's so awesome. Sister Sonia, thank you for sharing that, because, you know, somebody needs to know that there is help out there.
Right.
And that, you know, the only time you won't get help is if you don't seek it out. And these professionals, as Brother T just said, is that they're there for this job. But, you know, there's been a term floating out here now called new normal. And people have been going crazy about what does new normal mean. New normal means simply this: getting into a routine that is going to be a routine for you now after what you've gone through.
Right.
That's the simplest definition I can give it.
Right.
Because you're never going to be able to go back to what it was.
Right.
Normal, for what normal was 6 months ago, is not what normal is going to be 6 months from now.
Right.
There are going to be so many changes in the way that we do things and how we conduct personal relationships and extra personal relationships, that what seemed easy to do 6 months ago is not going to be as easy to do in 6 months.
It's not going to be the same. You're right.
So we got to embrace what new normal means. Find what new normal is for you. What is going to be something that keeps you out your own head? Because that's what we do. We get so caught up in things changing so fast, and they are changing very rapidly around us, that we get lost in the change. But get yourself out your head. Get to a therapist. Talk to that therapist and say, hey, I'm not coping with this change. It's happening too fast. I wasn't ready for that. And then see where that good conversation can take you.
I'm going to ask the ladies on here that's watching, what stat did I give 80% earlier? That a lot of females is 80%. That's 80% maybe was and males sexually molested, fondled with, or touched. If some females can give me back some stats and see if that's true. I'm not saying that happened to you, but if you think the number's about right, to 80%. I have another situation that happened. Was contacted from a young mother. I think she's about 50. Her son should be about 18 to 21 years old. And right after the show that we did about 3 weeks ago, she contacted me and she said she did not know her son was suicidal, getting ready to commit suicide.
Wow.
And I was kind of baffled by that, you know. And she said that, you know, she was in the house with him, but she had to communicate with him better.
Right.
You know, I don't think he was in the act of doing it, but he was getting ready to. It was on his mind, and it got her attention about what was ready to, you know, go down and happen and partake. So it goes back to that communication.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
First of all, thank God that nothing happened.
Right.
You know, that she was able to reach her son, and I hope that they've established an active line of communication. And sister, if you want to reach out, you know, Lee has my contact information. Anything I can do, I will gladly help you, you know, or point you in a direction where you can get some help and some more counseling and suggest some things to do. Communication is very important, not only from parents, but to each other. You know, we are our brother's keeper. That's the whole reason we do these shows, is to let people know that there's a resource, that there's somebody out there that's thinking about what you're thinking about, that you're not the only one. And so many times, that's how a person feels. I'm the only one. But when you communicate with somebody, you find out you're not the only one. And there's strength in numbers. People gather strength and finding somebody that's going through something that they have gone through similarly, and you can have a dialogue that starts. And once you start that dialogue, you'll see that people will open up even more, and it allows healing to take place. Because that's what we want to get to as a nation, as a society, as a people, is to get to healing, where we can trust the process. And that know that you're not going through this by yourself. That there's somebody sitting up at night that's thinking about the same thing you're thinking about. And if we can just find that conversation to help you get there, then it's all worth it.
Right. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to all the people who just joined us. Roy Boy, Palmer. Hey, man, what's going on, man? I appreciate you, bro. Man, tell your friends, and everybody else friends tune in right now, man. We getting down to it, man.
All right. I want to piggyback on something about communication. Believe it or not, a lot of individuals just seem like they can't talk to anybody. I don't know what it is. A lot of folks are in that predicament. They just cannot talk to, you know, this person or that person. What do you think it's going to take, in your opinion, to start turning this thing around through us, what we broadcast and whatever it may take? Because a lot of people feel like that. They just have nobody to talk to.
That's true. I mean, what you're saying right now, this kind of forum.
Right.
You make it available to anybody to come on and see that you're not the only one. The more than you are dealing with it. You know, we love Facebook. Facebook posts and say, you know, I'm dealing with some things, but, you know, I'm coming through it because I'm not in my head. You know, the very definition of depression is anger turned inward.
Yeah.
And when you're angry about something and it begins to go inward, then, you know, you got to find a way to turn it around, to get it out, to express it. And I just love the fact that, you know, as I said earlier, this pandemic has opened up some avenues. It's given some people some options to explore, let them know that it's more than just sitting in my room and staying to myself, that it's just not just me going through it. And the more people see that other people are going through what they're going through, they'll be more apt to talk about it because they don't feel alone. That feeling of being alone is what takes us over. And if we can combat that with communication, parents, talk to your children. Have family time like we used to. Remember when we were growing up, we had family time, and you came and have family time where you sit there, you talk, and talk real to your children. Don't talk down to them. Open up the level of communication on their level, where they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. And don't be so quick to want to punish if it's something that you don't agree with. Because these kids need to feel like I can come to talk to you. I'm not saying be their friend, still be their parent.
Right.
But give them a forum that they can come in and say, Daddy, I need to talk. And this is what I'm dealing with. And this is why I'm dealing with it. And I need some help. Because if you open up the avenue like that, your children are going to come to you. Same thing with your spouse. Sisters, I'm telling you right now, your husbands, your boyfriends are going through a rough time. Especially if they are providers, if they're nurturing, if they are the ones that do the thing you do. Because right now, their world is turned upside down. They don't know how they're going to make ends meet right now. They're not sure they got jobs. Some of us are going in jobs tomorrow and going to find out we're getting laid off. And it's a hard thing to try to make sure that I can still be a man for you and provide for you. But when that is taken away from me, it does something to stomp my self-worth. And so we got to be compassionate enough to, as Lee likes to say, don't hell hack your husband.
Don't be hell hacking.
Don't hell hack your husband or your boyfriend. Give them a safe place to be within you. Right. We love to quote Proverbs 31 when we talk about women. Who can find a virtuous woman? And we love to say how virtuous we are as women. I mean, sisters say it all the time. Right. But there's one part of that scripture that says, in his heart does he safely trust. That means that in him, he knows that she won't do anything to hurt him. So the avenue of them coming together is more prominent, more clear for him to go and say, I'm dealing with this, and he knows it's going to stay between them. And she ain't going to chastise him for feeling a moment of weakness.
Right. That is correct. I have a question, and it's going to come back to you. But first, hey, Aunt Sharon and Lisa in Kentucky. When a lot of folks go to different people, this is one thing that a lot of individuals say. That impersonation that I always ask you to do. You know what that is, right? Hold up. You know what I'm talking about, right? Don't say it yet, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It starts with a W. It's a rapper that always used that term. Don't do it yet. You know what I'm talking about, right? But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, then it's going to come back to you.
All right.
All right. So I'm coming to you. Say I'm 15, you my father. Dad, I need some help. What does that rapper say? Start with a W. I always ask you to do it all the time. WHO, plies.
Oh.
Hold on, let me do it again. But a lot of young adults, a lot of young kids go through this.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Smalls, I need some help, Dad.
Who is you?
And they get rejected. Rejection.
Yeah.
Rejection
is the key to a lot of what we go through. People, we don't react well to rejection. And that's one of the things that we're talking about tonight. What are some of the causes of people feeling, outcast, suicidal, depressed, dealing with PTSD, loss of job, and that's that rejection, that not feeling that you're worth anything. If a person rejects you in that manner, then you're not, first of all, you ain't gonna go back to them when it's hard again. But in the same manner, it gives them validation that they're really not worth anything. And we never want to validate that. We always want to push a person's worth. Always.
I got another comment from Miss Sonia. She said most people are afraid of being judged by anyone, especially with their situation. They're afraid to tell another person about their situation because they think that that's what therapy comes in. One that don't know you are your family members, speak to them and trust me, you will find peace. In other words, she's saying speak to your family members, man, and you'll find peace in letting them know and explaining yourself, what's going on with you and stuff like that nature. I just want to reiterate with that. She had some real good comments, and I just wanted to put it out there. Keep coming with it. That's very good comments. Very good.
And to piggyback off what Sister Sonia said, we all know there's somebody in your family you can go to. Somebody that will take the time to just simply listen. And so many people need that. And they're more than likely, if it's something that you can't resolve inside of yourself, in a family, they will help you find the help you need. It's important. keeping this stuff in is what poisons the soul. And once that's poison, it's hard to get it cleansed out.
Have a scenario you talked about earlier. The doctor that just committed suicide.
Yes, Dr. Lorna Brand.
Yeah. Do you think something was going on with her previously, in your honest opinion, before she, arrived to this point? Because she went to work. I think she went back to work. They told her to stay home. And all of a sudden she went home. They wasn't really clear if she passed away at the hospital or her home. But do you think she was actually, in your opinion, in both of y'all opinion, that she was going through something? Because all of a sudden she committed suicide.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, if a person got that on their mind, of course obviously they're going through something. Right. You know what I mean? That's a given. Whether or not, man, it happened where they say it happened at, or before that, that's kind of like the gray area. But for a person to even be in that situation, you got to be going through something. Some kind of devils are in your mind that's troubling you to even think about it, man. Let alone do it for real. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's some people out there that don't take these people seriously. Me personally, from experience and being close to it, man, when people say something, I take that like, you know what, I gotta look at this as being serious, man, because this person right here, you don't know what they thinking. You don't know what's on their mind. If you take it lightly, then they surely gonna actually make their mind up. You're gonna actually help them make their mind up to do what they intended to do in the first place because of your reaction to how that this person is suicidal, whatever the case may be. You know that, but you tend to push it under the rug. So that right there going to obviously seal the deal for them to say, you know what, he don't care, and he don't care. You know what? Why not?
Right. To speak of her mental health, I'm not really sure of what it could be because, as we see, the rise of suicide during this pandemic has been astronomical. 32% in less than 3 months. That's a very high number. What she was dealing with personally, I can't speak to it, but I can understand what she felt. That simple hopelessness. I've been so successful, and all her colleagues say that she was good-hearted, she was upbeat, and again, that goes back to people not understanding what's behind the smile. But in the same time, when you've been effective as a doctor and you're curing people, then you're also seeing at the same time people passing away from something that you cannot fix. Most doctors are fixers. That's what they got into the profession for. They understand how it is to fix. And then you're seeing so much death around you. And let's look at our news media. Our news media is so conflicted and so many conflicting reports out there. Right. She's on the front line. She's seeing it firsthand. And it may have been so overwhelming that when she contracted it herself and then she comes back to work and she can't keep up, that her self-worth went out the window. And it could have been in such an episode so traumatic to her at that moment, there was a reaction.
Right. I'm going to say a comment. Meek says sometimes people don't understand the pain people live with their entire life. And that's true. That's true. Meek, that is true, Meek. People don't understand the pain that you live with. And you know what I'm saying? Piggybacking off of what you just said, man, that smile, man. You can go in somebody's house, man, and be happy-go-lucky. And there's something that's wrong, if you going through some pain behind closed doors or whatever. Meek, that's very true. That is very true.
That's right.
I mean, the realism of it right now, somebody's watching us right now is going through some hell. I mean, we're going to be real about it. Going through some serious hell right now. And they don't know where to turn to. There are people out there that are willing to listen. You just got to be willing to make that call. No people understand the deception of a smile, the pain that somebody else is dealing with unless you're in the trench with them. And once you get in the trench with them, you get an idea, but you don't fully feel the effect of what that person has felt. But if you show compassion, compassion outweighs negativity. And that's what we got to do. We got to be more compassionate to people that have dealt with something. And when they come to tell you what they're dealing with, don't look at them sideways. They're so busy ready to cut sides.
Take it seriously. Because if they build up the confidence in themselves to come to you
and
with
trust you.
Right.
Trust you enough to say, I'm dealing with this. Don't ever take somebody having enough confidence in you to trust you with their innermost secrets, take that for granted.
And don't look at them sideways. Hit it again. Don't tell them what.
Who is you? You can't do that, man. You have to take people seriously, especially in this day and time, man, because people are really going through things right now.
Yes.
There was a stat that came on the news about the coronavirus and the age gap, about anybody can die from it. It doesn't affect a certain age, but when you're like 70 years old and up, it came back in the stats, 99% you won't survive it. That was in the stats on the news last week.
Oh wow, that's a high statistic.
So yes, it was.
Wow.
That's 1 in 100 that make it.
Yes, a Vietnam vet. You know, of course, he was married. Him and his wife about 2 years apart. So they didn't say who brought what to who, but both of them caught it, and both of them died within 3 days apart.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Number one, hard head, won't listen. It was on the news, and their kids couldn't tell them anything. You know, so that's the effect. So could you give some advice to the older people in that age group? Because they say it's a true fact. If you say 70 and up, you gone. 99%.
Wow, that's a very high statistic.
Yes.
I think that's more.
Before you answer, they said because of the immune system when you get older.
That's where I was going with that. If you 70 years old or in that age bracket, and you have like underlying, you know, issues, medical issues, yeah, you more at risk, of course. You know, but don't forget about those 70-year-olds that are in tip-top condition now. I think when the statistics always focus on the part, the group that the health is, you know, not really up to par. But you got a lot of 70-year-olds that are more healthy than the 30-year-olds. They don't. That's an exception to the rules. They don't. They're not gonna mention that. But if you're taking care of yourself, you have a better chance of surviving this thing or whatever. If you know you have underlying conditions, I'll say it like how the governor says: stay at home.
Right.
So stay at home. Don't move around too much. You know what I mean? Stay at home. Give yourself a fighting chance till this thing blow over. And then after it blow over, you can get back to your normal routine, your normal day, your normal whatever you do. But we want to make sure you live to be 80 years old, 90 years old. We love the old folks too, because y'all are the ones that are with the wisdom, man. We can't have y'all, you know, leaving us, man, without giving us what we need before y'all leave. You know what I mean? We don't want y'all to leave prematurely. So we want y'all to enjoy your latter part of your life, you know, and not go out like this, man, because the people who have been dying from this, man, they didn't plan on their life ending like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Especially the ones that already had their lives already planned out. Like, look, man, this is what I want to do when I'm 70. This is what I want to do when I'm 80, 90 years old. Things of that nature. And here go the coronavirus comes out of nowhere and cuts all that off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What is it? 99% is that's a high.
That's a high statistic.
That's
man.
a high statistic. That's almost 100% coverage.
Right.
That's scary.
You only got 1%, man. That's not getting affected.
Yeah, it's 1 person out of 100. So, you know,
Go ahead.
But you know, it's like T said, you know, the majority of the people that are passing away, young and old, have compromised immune system. Right. Diabetes, there's already respiratory issues, there's already heart issues, there's already issues that they're dealing with that have made them more susceptible, and the rate of recovery is slimmer for them. But if you're taking care of yourself, then you'll see that you can combat it better. I mean, it's opened up the understanding that we need to take care of ourselves even more.
We do.
You know, and
we do.
I can tell you right now, my mama would look at you like you're crazy, because she said before, she'd be like, who you calling old? Yeah. You know, because, you know, they say it all the time, 60 is the new 40, 70 is the new 50. You know, and 80 is still around the corners. You know, and we got to let those people embrace the zest for their life. If you tell 70-year-olds out loud in a crowd that 99% of y'all are going to die if you come in contact with the COVID virus, it makes them want to give up.
Right.
And we don't want to do that. We want to encourage them. As T said, live long. They got stories to tell.
Yeah.
They got things to pass down to us, and I need to hear those stories.
Right.
You know what? It's another group of individuals in this profession that is tend to get, you know, overlooked about the mental health that they go through. Guess what that is? Police officers. Nobody never talks about it. One of my frat brothers was undercover. He said they would only allow them to do it maybe 2 or 3 years at a time because mentally it does something to them. And because of the things that they see and go through, in so many words he was saying, they turn into another person. So after their 2 or 3 year tour, they have to be removed from that because mentally it could affect their family.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like after 3 years we gotta decompress.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta get your mind right. You gotta kind of like come back to your normal life because you have been living a life that it wasn't yours for so long. We don't want that to be a underlying effect. Not only that, so much as police officers, man. What about our fellow servicemen, military, Navy, Army, Marine, man? Those guys are actually seeing things that we probably won't ever see in our whole entire life and come home traumatized. You know what I mean? They go through it too. We might not look at them and think that, oh, they in the military, ain't nothing or whatever, man. But you got to think about those personalities too, man, that get affected by the jobs they do being abroad. You know, polices are right here in the U.S., American soil. Think about what the military servicemen all across the world are going through. You know what I'm saying? The missions and things that they got to do that we don't know about to keep us doing all these nice things that we doing right now. You know what I'm saying? We got to think about them too.
You know,
Go ahead.
You know, and to piggyback off that, you know, we're looking at an epidemic of homelessness in this country. The majority of homeless on the street now are people returning back from wars. You know, brothers and sisters in arms that have said, I can't function in this society. They have not embraced the new normal. And because they haven't learned to embrace the new normal, they're an outcast society. These are the people that protected our freedoms and they're no longer relevant. As for police officers, after 3 years, they develop Helsinki syndrome. They begin to take on the persona that they've been portrayed and they become corrupt. And so they try to lighten the load, give them the mental help that they need to decompress and get that out. It's important to recognize that right now as a nation, we're all going through something.
Yes.
We're all going through it at the same time, and this disease doesn't care who you are.
Right.
There's a disparity in the black and the brown community of death, but the virus itself doesn't care who's affected. And it's going to take the government to figure that out and us to make them figure it out.
Right. That is correct.
Right.
Well, we had a good time today, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
What y'all think? What you think?
Oh, yeah.
It was fruitful, man. Hey, shout out to all my international people who listening live, man. Thank y'all. We really appreciate that.
And I want to thank y'all for having me back. Again, like I said before, if ever you need me, just give me a call. Brothers and sisters, I'm available. Just hit me up on my Facebook, Glenn Bynum, facebook.com. Holla at me. We can have some dialogue, some conversation, and we'll do what we need to do.
How you doing, Deidre? How you doing, Karen? I've got on this Let's Talk Under the Tree shirt. We're getting ready to go in production. So y'all want one, get back at me.
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
See that, right? Y'all want one? Go get it.
Right.
We love y'all.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Keep talking, man, under the tree. Keep them comments coming, man, and we'll get at y'all. For real.
We have a good time, but we have a serious side too, you know,
That's right.
about different issues. Y'all have a good time, and y'all had a good time.
I always
you
have
had
a
a
good
good
time.
time.
I'm always having a good time. That's T.Smallz, man.
It's Mr. Palmer, Glenn Bynum.
Hey, before we go,
Oh,
can we
your
close
book.
out in prayer?
Yeah, we can. Tell them about your book first.
Well, I got a number of books out. One hopefully will be out in 2 months called Love from a Man's Point of View. It's a book of poetry about love from a man's point of view. So sisters, get that so you can see how we think. And then the one that we're writing is called My Fight with the Invisible Opponent. Hopefully everything goes well and we keep going with the research and it's coming out. We'll see that on Sands by December.
Right. Before you go into prayer, this is a coincidence. All three of us are from South Carolina.
All from South Cat.
That's
South
crazy.
Carolina.
That That's right.
All right, go ahead.
Father God, it's in the name of Jesus, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to come together, Father, to communicate with our brothers and sisters, God, on this airway that you provided. Father, we ask right now in the name of Jesus that anybody that is going through any situation, circumstance, God, that's too heavy for them, Father, you said you are a burden bearer. And Father, we should take our burdens upon each other and learn of you. Father, we ask right now in the name of Jesus that you give them the mindset to seek out help, Father, amongst their brothers and sisters, amongst the professional community, God, and then give them that peace that surpasses all understanding. Father, we thank you for what Lee and T have done here by this forum that they presented, and those that have come on, God, to share their experiences. We ask right now that you just continue to bless them like never before. Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength, and we ask right now that you continue to be with us on this journey called life. We give you all glory, honor, and praises. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And with that being said, let's keep talking under the tree. We'll see y'all next week, people.
Love y'all. Love y'all.
Love you.